What would you think if I told you that the way you look at something changes the thing itself? That your gaze, your thought, your silent focus holds enough power to bend outcomes, to shift molecules, to awaken dormant pathways hidden inside reality itself. This is not fantasy. This is physics. And yet, long before quantum mechanics gave it a name, the mystics whispered of it through symbols and veiled language. There is an ancient law, older than any religion, deeper than any science, and it was recorded in a forbidden book, now mostly forgotten, that reveals exactly how to command the invisible forces around you, not by domination, but by attunement. The reason this book was hidden is simple. The truth is too powerful for an unconscious mind to wield. For to control energy is not to manipulate, it is to become. You do not direct reality from the outside. You become the frequency, the tone, the vibration of the thing desired, and reality is compelled to shape itself around you. You are not chasing, you are calling. You are not forcing, you are tuning. This is why the ancient sages spoke in parables, because to give a blunt instruction to a blind observer would only deepen the illusion. But now, you are waking up. If you felt energy pulling you here, comment "I am ready" and type 7 to 77 below. This moment is not random. Like this video and subscribe if your soul is ready to remember what it was made to know. Some people live their whole lives unaware that their thoughts are casting shadows into the field. Every judgment, every emotional echo, every belief you inherited but never questioned. They're all seeds in the quantum soil, and what grows from them is not just circumstance, but entire timelines. You are walking through a garden of consequences birthed by unconscious observation. But the moment you see clearly, not through thought, but through presence, the energy obeys. Observation collapses probability, and what was once endless possibility becomes singular form. So, the Forbidden Book didn't teach how to dominate energy. It taught how to merge with it, and in merging, to master. The book explained that energy is not a tool, but a mirror. You cannot lie to it. You cannot posture. It does not respond to effort, only to essence. And the most difficult truth for the ego to accept is this: energy does not follow what you say you want. It follows what you believe you are. Every cell, every neuron, every magnetic signal you emit is announcing who you are, whether you know it or not. Energy responds to coherence, not confusion. When your desires say one thing, but your emotions hum a different frequency, you emit static into the field. The signal is fractured, and the results are erratic. But when thought, emotion, and identity align, reality becomes soft clay. You are not manifesting from desperation. You are remembering from unity. The Forbidden Book called this the law of echo, the sacred truth that what you send into the field must return in its perfect match, not as punishment, not as reward, but as resonance. The mind is a servant of the field, but it has been crowned king in a world asleep. It calculates, analyzes, and repeats what it already knows. But it cannot create. Creation begins in stillness, in the gap between thought and being, and this is where the book says you must dwell. Not in chaos, not in craving, but in the silent sanctuary, where you remember all that is, already exists. The field is not responding to your hunger. It is responding to your harmony. You do not need to shout to move the mountains. You only need to tune. Think of a tuning fork vibrating in an empty hall. Its sound echoes, not by force, but by frequency. This is how energy behaves in the field of potential. When your frequency is clean, when your intent is sacred, energy bends like light through a lens. The shift doesn't happen when you push harder. It happens when you finally stop pushing at all. The ancients wrote that reality is shaped by the quality of your attention, not its quantity, but its purity. If your focus is split, your creation is diluted. If your gaze is tainted by fear, the field reads distortion. But when you focus with the softness of trust, without urgency, without demand, then energy organizes itself around you with mathematical precision. This is why those who seem to do less often attract more. They are not lazy, they are aligned. And yet, most wander through life waiting for evidence to justify belief. But energy is not reactive. It is reflective. It gives not based on proof, but on permission. The moment you declare yourself abundant, before a single dollar appears, the field begins organizing. When you walk in worthiness, before a single person validates you, doors open. Because energy doesn't need your proof, it needs your participation in truth. The Forbidden Book's final chapter warned, the moment you understand this, you are no longer a victim. And that is the greatest danger, not to others, but to your old self. The identity built on blame cannot survive in a world where you are the architect. This is why most reject the truth, even when it's right before them. Because to control energy is to take radical ownership of your being, and in that sacred fire, everything false is burned away. The book spoke of time as a veil, not a line, but a loop. It claimed that all outcomes exist simultaneously in the field, vibrating like strings on a divine harp. Each possible future is already humming in potential, and your consciousness is the hand that plucks the string, not with noise, but with knowing. When you emotionally rehearse a future event as if it has already occurred, the body cannot distinguish imagination from experience. Neurons fire, chemistry shifts, and the field, obedient as it is eternal, bends toward that signal. But here lies the paradox. The more you need a future, the further it runs. Desire tethered to lack creates a field of absence. The Forbidden Book taught this through metaphor. A thirsty man chasing a mirage will only deepen his thirst. But the one who knows the well is within, walks differently, speaks differently, emits something magnetic without trying, and energy, like a mirror, reflects it back in form, not to reward, but to resonate. Many believe the world responds to words, affirmations, declarations, prayers of intensity. But the book revealed this: energy responds to emotion. Words are mere symbols, but emotion is vibration made flesh. And if your words contradict your state, the field listens to the feeling beneath the sentence. Say, "I am powerful," while feeling afraid, and fear becomes the signal. Say nothing, but feel peace, and peace becomes the command. Energy hears the unsaid, because it reads the heart, not the mouth. The field does not judge. It does not filter what you deserve. It reflects what you allow. This is why trauma, shame, and unhealed identities often recreate the very pain we long to escape. Because even as we fight it, we are familiar with it. And what is familiar is magnetic, unless observed with awareness. The unconscious becomes fate. The book described this as the law of return. Not a punishment from above, but a message from within. Neuroscience now confirms what mystics knew. Neurons that fire together wire together. Every repeated thought becomes a groove, a path, a pattern in the brain. And when thought is paired with emotion, that pathway is carved deeper. So, when you wake and think the same thought you thought yesterday and feel the same despair or fear or longing, you are not experiencing the day. You are recreating the past. Over and over. The body lives the memory while the field echoes it back in matter. The Forbidden Book whispered of the observer as a sacred archetype, not the mind that analyzes, but the awareness that watches without naming. When you become that silent witness, a new state emerges, detachment without indifference, power without grasping, and in that stillness, energy loses its need to defend. Time slows, synchronicity increases, reality softens. This is the beginning of energetic command. Not to force, but to perceive without distortion. When you cling, the signal scrambles. When you release, the message is clean. The field cannot bring you what you demand from fear, but it will flood you with the echo of trust. This is why spiritual masters seem at ease while surrounded by uncertainty. They are not unbothered because life is easy. They are unbothered because they have mastered the art of inner stillness. And that stillness sends a pure, uninterrupted signal into the grid of existence. Every identity you wear is a frequency. I am not enough. I am always behind. I am unlucky. These are not just beliefs. They are energetic agreements. And the field honors everyone, not because it wants to limit you, but because it mirrors what you believe is true. When you change your identity, the mirror shifts. This is why the book warned, be careful what names you answer to. The world you see rises and falls according to the title you give yourself. This sacred knowledge was once guarded by temples, encoded in riddles, protected by symbols. But now it rises again, through quantum language, through resonance, through you. Because the hidden book was never really forbidden by others, it was buried by the part of you that feared its truth, the part that needed to stay small to be loved, to be safe, to be understood. But now, the time for shrinking has ended. The field awaits a new declaration. To control energy is not to master the universe. It is to remember that the universe is made of you. Every thought is a wave. Every emotion is a frequency. Every belief is a pattern forming geometry in time. And when you align with your true essence, not your image, not your fear, but your eternal awareness, the field obeys as naturally as the ocean follows the moon. No force, no struggle, only coherence between who you are and what already wants to come through. There is a sacred intelligence moving beneath all visible things, a current not seen, but felt, like the pull of the moon on the tide. The forbidden book called it the living field, a place beyond language where intention becomes form. In this dimension, reality is no longer something that happens to you. It becomes something that emerges from you. The more attuned you are to this unseen current, the less you rely on force. You begin to realize everything you chase was meant to find you the moment your frequency matched its call. The living field cannot be deceived. It does not answer clever affirmations or intellectual rituals. It answers only what you are. You cannot pretend coherence. You must become it. And this is why the path is so quiet, so personal. No one can feel for you. No one can align your signal. You are both the transmitter and the receiver. You are both the seed and the gardener. And until you take responsibility for the energy you broadcast, not the words, not the masks, you will remain confused by the reflection the world sends back. The book explained this in sacred imagery. The heart is the altar, and the emotion is the offering. When your heart offers fear, the field mirrors chaos. When your heart offers peace, the field brings order. You cannot offer desperation and ask for grace. You cannot offer control and ask for trust. The offering must match the request. This is why the most powerful shifts in your life never came through effort. They came through surrender, through release, through the deep and dangerous act of letting go. It is not enough to think positively while vibrating in pain. That is not creation. That is suppression. True transformation begins where truth is honored. And the truth is often buried beneath years of performance and noise. The field responds not to the polished version of you, but to the raw one, the true one. That version may be trembling. It may be grieving. But if it's real, the energy will answer it. Because energy does not serve perfection. It serves authenticity. Modern science has only begun to uncover what the ancients knew. The heart has its own electromagnetic field, measurable, vast, and powerful. When you feel gratitude, coherence, and compassion, This field expands and synchronizes with the brain. Neural coherence begins, and the body enters creation mode. Not survival, not fight or flight, but pure, magnetic being. You don't have to shout to be heard by the field. You only need to harmonize with what you truly want, not with your mouth, but with your nervous system. The Forbidden Book warned that fear is not the enemy. It is a messenger. It only becomes destructive when worshipped. When you allow fear to sit on the throne of your decisions, it casts shadows across the field. But when you observe it, when you see the fear without feeding it, the power returns to you. You do not banish fear with logic. You dissolve it with presence. Because energy moves where your attention rests. And whatever you observe with compassion, you reclaim as power. Some believe they must earn energy's cooperation through work or worthiness. But the book whispered otherwise. You were always worthy. You were always connected. The only thing in the way is the illusion that you are separate from the field. This illusion creates striving, begging, performing, and in that noise, your frequency becomes unreadable. But the moment you remember that you and the field are one, silence returns. And in that silence, creation begins. You are not meant to control outcomes. You are meant to control state, because the state you embody writes the blueprint for what the field constructs. Wanting something is not enough. You must become the version of you that already has it. Not as a game, not as a trick, but as an energetic truth. That means breathing differently, thinking differently, relating to time differently, and most of all, feeling as if the prayer has already been answered. The book said, if you want to know what you truly believe, look at what keeps repeating, not in your thoughts, but in your reality. Because energy cannot lie. It will always organize itself around your dominant vibration, not your hopes, not your goals, but your being. So if struggle repeats, ask, what part of me still believes that pain is necessary for progress? If lack repeats, ask, where am I still unconsciously rejecting ease? These questions aren't punishments. They are doorways to liberation. To control energy is to stop controlling everything else. It is to enter such deep alignment with truth that life becomes effortless flow. Not because it lacks challenge, but because you no longer fight what is already unfolding in your favor. You begin to see the field is not against you. It is for you, always has been. But it was waiting, not for your plan, but for your presence, for the moment you'd finally stop doing and start being. Energy does not punish. It does not reward. It simply reflects. The field does not care if you are famous or forgotten, praised or persecuted. It only responds to your resonance. The moment you radiate wholeness, the world bends to meet that tone. The moment you hold a frequency of completion, life stops testing and starts revealing. The Forbidden Book called this the sacred return, the truth that the outer world must return to you, what your inner world has already claimed, and in this, your power is limitless. Not through control, but through remembrance. The ones who walk in miracles are not always louder. They are often quieter. There is a stillness about them that unnerves the world, because they no longer chase, explain, or justify. They have tuned themselves to the frequency of the divine, and walk as though what they need has already arrived. This is not arrogance. It is alignment. It is the deep knowing that you do not need to perform for what you are meant to receive. You need only to match it. When you become the frequency of peace, nothing chaotic can cling to you. So many people pray for signs while radiating signals of fear. They beg for healing while rehearsing their wounds. They want abundance, but they speak from lack. The field does not confuse intention with emotion. It responds to the stronger signal. And if the pain of the past is stronger than the belief in the future, then the past will be repeated. Not because you are cursed, but because your body has memorized the familiar, and energy always takes the path of least resistance. To break the cycle, you must first honor the silence. Go into the place where no one else can follow, the temple within. This is where the true book is written, not on paper, not in code, but in the blueprint of your own being. You were born with the map. Every breath you take is an invitation back to the source. You don't need to decode the universe. You only need to become available to it, and that begins with releasing every identity that was never yours to carry. You are not broken. You are becoming. And in the process of becoming, old energies must fall away. People will leave. Patterns will crumble. And the ego will panic. Let it. Let the unraveling happen. Because control is a heavy veil. And the moment you drop it, the field can breathe you into your next becoming. This is not the end of your power. It is the beginning of your purity. When you no longer grip the world, you are finally free to co-create it. The book said the most powerful state in the universe is the silent observer, the one who sees everything, feels deeply, but does not lose their center. This observer is not passive. It is infinitely active, but only in alignment. It does not rush, react, or beg. It simply watches, and in that watching, it rearranges the field. When you become this observer, time bends, matter shifts, and life becomes less about striving and more about stewarding what is already being shaped on your behalf. This is the frequency of miracles, not in magic, but in mathematics. The field is not mystical because it is unknowable. It is mystical because it is infinite. And infinity does not mean chaos. It means order beyond comprehension. Everything is happening exactly as it must. Not for your comfort, but for your awakening. And when you trust this, deeply, cellularly, the panic inside you softens. You return to the rhythm of the source, and the source returns to you in form. The world taught you to force. The field teaches you to feel. The world taught you to wait. The field teaches you to become. The world said you must earn. The field says you already are. And in this shift from survival to creation, from identity to essence, the control you sought becomes irrelevant. You do not need to dominate energy. You are energy. And once you know this, your life becomes a quiet symphony of alignment, not a battle for visibility or validation. There is nothing you need to fix before life loves you back. There is nothing you need to prove to deserve the future you envision. The forbidden book was never truly hidden. It has always been within you, written in the vibrations of your soul, waiting for the moment you'd stop looking outward and start listening inward. You are the page. You are the word. You are the energy that the universe has been waiting to remember. And now, you are remembering. Reality doesn't shift when you force it. It shifts when you observe differently.